The FBI has released 3.5 million Epstein files, and I found the most unsettling emails, videos, and photos that no one is talking about. This is newly released hidden camera footage taken from inside Epstein's Palm Beach home. The spy camera is hidden, meaning the people being filmed have no idea. These videos confirm what many suspected, that Epstein would spy on people using secret cameras.
I suddenly thought that I saw something like a lipstick camera. That is a very small camera whose lens was staring straight at me.
Newly released photos even show these cameras. The cameras are sometimes well hidden and other times in plain sight. The DOJ also released images of a command center, showing the room where Epstein controlled, watched, and recorded these hidden cameras. In one email, Epstein even says to someone, "Let's get 3 motion-detected hidden cameras that record." The emails show Epstein was obsessed with filming everything and everyone, likely using these videos to blackmail people. Epstein collected a massive amount of compromising information on powerful people, mainly politicians, celebrities, and billionaires, which in turn gave him massive power and wealth. Epstein was friends with Trump and Clinton, as well as Steve Bannon, Prince Andrew, Peter Mandelson, Bill Cosby, Noam Chomsky, Woody Allen, David Copperfield, Elon Musk, Sarah Ferguson, Robert Mugabe, Bill Gates, Jay-Z, Harvey Weinstein, and many more. Of course, not all of those people were blackmailed by Epstein, but it does show how far his connections went. But why was he so obsessed with making these connections? In the emails, we see a common pattern: befriend a rich and powerful person, invite them to his private island, and then ask if they want to have some fun. He would then collect compromising images and videos, allowing him to gain massive influence over these people. Epstein also tried to gain influence over people by hacking them. According to an FBI report, Epstein hired an elite hacker from Italy who developed zero-day software exploits, basically software which could sneak into widely used systems and devices. This could allow Epstein to gain access to people's phones, laptops, and tablets. The name Vincenzo Iozzo appears many times in Epstein's emails. Vincenzo is a world-famous Italian hacker who in 2010 became the first person to hack the iPhone. Could he be the redacted hacker name? Right now, we don't know. Like many of the emails, many names are redacted. But despite the redactions, people have noticed some very disturbing emails. Take this email from Epstein to one of his victims, asking her if she's off school Friday for the holidays, and telling her that Eva will organize a P-word doctor. Another creepy email shows a victim emailing Epstein, agreeing to video call him on Monday or Tuesday, because her parents won't be around. But those aren't even the worst emails. One of Epstein's clients emailed him saying, "Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty." The Department of Justice has redacted the name of the sender, for reasons that so far have not been explained. Another email appears to show someone scouting girls for Epstein, saying that he had to convince them to meet a mysterious billionaire, obviously referring to Epstein, to which Epstein replied, asking if she was underage. The scout responds saying that she was 14 to 15 years old. Epstein then says, "You can fly her to see if you like." Based on the emails, there is clearly a massive network of people helping Epstein commit these crimes. But thanks to the DOJ, most of these names are redacted, and no one seems to understand why. On the other hand, the files reveal the identities of victims. Some names were accidentally not redacted, while other names are obvious based on context. When the files went live, nearly 100 survivor names appeared without redaction. Lawyers for the survivors reacted immediately, filing emergency motions, saying that the DOJ's mistake put the victims' lives in danger. And this may well be true. Several of Epstein's victims have mysteriously passed away. According to one heavily redacted document in the Epstein files, a young girl lost her life on Epstein's island. Survivors have also said people on the island who caused problems, quote, disappeared. When victims arrived on the island, it was made clear to them that they were far from formal jurisdiction, and that US law enforcement was nowhere to be found. The files even mentioned graves on the island, and numerous missing people linked to Jeffrey Epstein. The FBI did search Epstein's island, and while they said no graves were found, some people do not believe the official narrative, which makes sense given how much has already been covered up. Another very unsettling revelation from the Epstein files is Epstein's Black Book. Epstein had what he called his Black Book of Power. It was a book of hundreds of prominent names, complete with their addresses, phone numbers, and emails, spanning from politics, academia, royalty, entertainment, and finance. Epstein was not only obsessed with connecting with these people, but also connecting the people with one another, forming a massive web of influence. Some of Epstein's Black Book has been released, but a large part of it remains redacted. In recent years, Epstein tried to improve his image, doing interviews with Steve Bannon, with the goal to humanize the monster. Quite telling that Epstein refers to himself as a monster. Bannon even agreed to try and rebuild Epstein's image, which has led to many people asking why would Steve Bannon even want to do this? Epstein had even tried to meet Joe Rogan, possibly to appear on his podcast to improve his image.
I'm in the files for not going, because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would have went.
But
especially after I Googled him.
One of the most damning things in the new Epstein files is information about the main way he met his victims, doing so using the same evil technique over and over again. Victims were hired by other people to give Epstein a massage. Many of the victims were young, so someone offering them lots of money for a massage did not immediately seem suspicious, especially as these girls were often poor and naive. The girl would go to one of Epstein's properties and begin the massage. During the massage, boundary violations would get progressively worse and worse, testing whether the girl would leave, object, or go along with it. At the end, money would be handed over. The more boundaries crossed, the more money would be given. Afterwards, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, or other employees of his would treat the girls as friends, asking if they were okay, and if they wanted to do it again sometime. If the girls did agree to come back, they would be asked to bring their friends, creating a new stream of girls coming to Epstein's houses all the time. A very evil, self-fulfilling prophecy. In the files, there are some allegations Epstein may have got some of these victims pregnant. Take a look at these bizarre videos released in the Epstein files. One of them shows Epstein chasing a female around a kitchen. There are also many videos of him dancing with women, with many being filmed inside Epstein's office in his New York City house. In one of the videos, there is a DNA paternity test on his desk, which does lend credence to the idea that he may have got some victims pregnant. There are also bizarre videos of women who may have been his victims. The faces are redacted, meaning we don't know their ages, but many of the videos do feature stuffed animals, which, based on the context, is very unsettling. There are also videos of girls sent to Epstein by his staff. Also in the files, many new flight logs were released, listing trips Epstein and other high-profile passengers took on his plane, dubbed the Lolita Express. Epstein purchased the private jet, a Boeing 727-100, in 2001, and immediately customized the plane, including adding a bedroom on board. Epstein spent around 600 hours in the sky per year, mainly flying between New York, Florida, New Mexico, and the US Virgin Islands. The world's elite flew on his aircraft many times, including Bill Clinton, who flew on the plane at least 27 times. One of Epstein's pilots was named Larry Vasovsky. He testified in legal proceedings, saying that he saw young girls on the flights, though he said he did not know their ages or why they were flying with Epstein. Epstein's private jet was essential for his crimes. Airports always ask for passports, and do not allow minors to travel with random men, but with a private jet you can simply park on a remote airfield and then step on board, without any need for passport checks or TSA, allowing Epstein to move people around the world with no oversight. One surprising revelation in the files involved RFK's flights on Epstein's plane. RFK once joined Epstein and Maxwell on a bizarre mission that was to dig up dinosaur bones. The trio went to hunt for dinosaur fossils in the Dakotas.
Took my kids fossil hunting on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota.
RFK has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but it is an odd detail, and once again reinforces how well connected Epstein was. Of course, most of Epstein's flights were to his private island, named Little St. James. Epstein purchased the 75-acre island back in 1998, paying about $8 million for the island. The island had various buildings, guest houses, and a helipad. Epstein also built a bizarre temple on the island, which has since been painted all white and the windows removed. The island had 70 staff, who all had to sign strict non-disclosure agreements, which meant they were not allowed to reveal who or what they saw on the island, and we now know why. The island was famous for wild, inappropriate parties. According to the files, many celebrities and powerful people went to these parties, including Stephen Hawking. Staff working at the St. Thomas airfield where Epstein's plane would land said they often saw young girls under the age of 16 coming off his plane. The girls were often wearing baggy clothing and carrying expensive handbags, presumably gifted to them by Epstein. Victims said Epstein would fly them to the island without telling them where they were going. They were also not told how long they were going for or who would be present on the island. When they arrived on the island, they were surrounded by guards, and the girls had no way to leave. The island allegedly had secret cameras and listening devices everywhere. The island also had creepy masks and a dentist chair. There was also a blackboard with the words "power and deception" written on it, as well as stuffed animals and a room with firefighter gear and and police uniforms. On the island, there were many framed photos. The faces in these photos have been redacted, meaning they were almost definitely Epstein's victims, that for some reason he chose to decorate his home with. One big question on everyone's lips is, how did Epstein afford all of this? It seems he became a billionaire overnight, and he never seemed to do any work, spending most of his time on his island or getting massages. Billionaire Les Wexner gifted Epstein this New York house, worth a staggering $77 million. When Epstein passed away, his estate was worth around $600 million. Epstein banked with JP Morgan for many years, and JP Morgan ended up paying his victims $290 million. After it was said the bank turned a blind eye to internal memos, which had raised major red flags about Epstein. Deutsche Bank also paid out $150 million in fines, and $75 million to settle lawsuits. Bank of America has also come under fire. Epstein paid out millions of dollars in hush payments, normally disguised as university scholarships, even when the girls in question were too young to attend university. Of course, Epstein did not do all of this by himself. Instead, he had a massive network of people helping him do these crimes. There was, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's partner in crime, who is serving a 20-year sentence. She would help recruit and manage girls, teaching them how to behave. Another person linked to Epstein was Sarah Kellen. She worked as Epstein's assistant for several years. She allegedly arranged massages and coordinated travel for some of the girls, but she has never been charged for any crimes. Another of Epstein's assistants was Leslie Groff, who allegedly took care of the girls' living needs. Nadia Marcinko was also named. She was one of Epstein's pilots. One victim testified saying Epstein told her that he had bought Marcinko from her parents, doing so in the 1990s in Czechoslovakia. One of Epstein's scouts who helped him find girls is a man named Jean-Luc Brunel. Brunel made over 25 flights on Epstein's plane. He was arrested in 2020, but passed away in his cell in 2022. This network helped Epstein recruit girls and spread his influence to the world's elite. One of the most named people in the new Epstein files is, of course, Prince Andrew, whose friendship with Jeffrey Epstein has disgraced the royal family for years. He has had all of his royal titles removed and was even forced to vacate his house. Prince Andrew also shared UK trade files with Epstein, which led to Prince Andrew being arrested. This begs the question, why would Prince Andrew share these confidential reports with Epstein? Could it be that Epstein possessed compromising information about Andrew? That's certainly what many think. Many bizarre photos of Prince Andrew were released in the Epstein files. Andrew has since been released from police custody, but he remains under investigation. Also arrested was Peter Mandelson, one of the most powerful men in UK politics. It's said he leaked classified information to Jeffrey Epstein, which again begs the question, why would he have done this? Did Epstein pressure him in some way? One of the most eyebrow-raising revelations in the new Epstein files is the evidence that Epstein was planning to cooperate just days before he passed away. Emails from his legal team show that he was discussing a plea agreement. Some of the discussions were about high-profile individuals linked to Epstein, who might not have wanted their secrets to come to light. Materials suggest Epstein was open to giving testimony, as well as naming his associates and even explaining his operations, which raises a big question. If a plea deal was on the table, why would Epstein decide to pass away? Epstein passed away in his cell in August 2019, but many people do not believe the official narratives surrounding the event. Both guards claim they fell asleep that night, and then tried to falsify records. The cameras were not working outside his cell. Epstein's attorney also said his injuries looked more like a homicide. Perhaps Epstein became a liability for someone very powerful. It sounds far-fetched, but so does this entire situation. Before all of this came to light, no one would believe a billionaire was blackmailing the world's elite on a private island. But here we are. The truth is, these millions of files have created more questions than answers. It feels like we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. And remember, there are still over 2.5 million documents which have not yet been released. We still don't know for sure if Epstein was a spy, where he got his money from, or who he was working for. What we do know is his operation was massive and reached the richest and most powerful people in countries across the world. New lawsuits and criminal investigations are being opened all over the world, meaning it's safe to say the Jeffrey Epstein saga is far from over. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and watch this video next.